Today we were out to experience some of the best of Paris. We arrived at Notre Dame around 8:45 in the morning. Although I was told the line moved fast, the crowd was so overwhelming that we opted to simply walk around and admire it from the outside. We took the short walk to Sainte-Chapelle. Built in the 13th century by St. Louis, it was intended to house the relics of the Passion of Christ. The ground level was dedicated to parish services, and the relics were kept on the upper level. The lower chapel, while elegant and beautiful, seemed a bit sparse. However, once climbing up a very narrow staircase to arrive into the upper chapel definitely made up for it. There was a major restoration from 2008 to 2014, and the results are dazzling. The colors are brilliant, and the details are very dramatic. Even as we left, the view of the back of the chapel was enough to make you stop and savor the view. After picking up some passes at the Hôtel de Ville, we made our way to the bus stop at Notre Dame. Admiring the view, who would have known less than a year later it would be tragically consumed by a massive fire? The bus arrived, but we decided to wait for the next, less crowded one. It's a strategy I heartily endorse. Our patience was rewarded as we scored some prime seats on the next bus. Before we knew it, we were soon gliding along the banks of the Seine, taking in iconic sights and landmarks. The Place de la Concorde served as a square during the French Revolution, where many noteworthy people were guillotined, including Robespierre, King Louis XVI, and Marie Antoinette. The Champs-Élysées, the world-famous boulevard with its famously expensive stores, ultimately ending at the Arc de Triomphe. The circuit around the Arc is, as you can see, definitely crazy. But somehow the traffic negotiates around it, vehicles missing each other by inches sometimes. Even more crazy are the tourists willing to stand out in the middle of it all just for a picture. Talk about nuts! As we continue our path around some tight spots, let's see if our daredevil tourists are still in the middle of the road. Yep, they're still there. These people have definitely lost their marbles. I just hope they don't go looking for them in the street. Trocadero Place, where everyone who's anyone likes to get a good famous picture of the Eiffel Tower. Did you know that nearby is a statue of George Washington? As the leader of a successful revolution, he became kind of an icon for liberation and nationalism, especially in France. At the Trocadero Gardens with their lovely fountains, our bus turned towards the next stop, the Eiffel Tower. We decided to get off here to grab a snack and look around. Leave it to me to find a nice man who made me a ham and cheese crepe. Yum! I couldn't resist the birds begging for crumbs. They must have been hungry because they were actually willing to eat out of my hand. Next, we opted to take advantage of our pass and take a boat ride on the Seine River. It was so great to see the sights from a different vantage point. We soon discovered it was kind of a deal to shout and wave to fellow boat passengers. or people on the bridges as you passed. It was fun to see everyone having a great time and saying hello to each other. Back at our starting point at the Eiffel Tower, we found hamburgers, of all things, and had lunch listening to an impromptu jazz band. We got back on the bus and saw the next leg of our tour. Les Invalides, where Napoleon Bonaparte is buried. At the time, they were preparing for some sort of concert or event, I believe. We drove by the Rodin Museum, where we were mooned by the Thinker, one of Rodin's most famous statues. While we were stuck in rush hour traffic, it was still nice to enjoy our glimpse of the courtyard of the Louvre. We were exhausted and decided to head back to the apartment. We scored huge on our favorite drink, Orangina, at a market on the way. Soon our day was done and we were spent, but it was full and wonderful. We slept very well that night.